Hello YouTube, this is Sully back with another shoe review. I know it's been a while, but we're gonna get one done today, and then I'll have another one done probably in the next week because I'm wearing a new one right now. But I've had this, which is the Air Max 365 Ultra, for a few months now. I kind of got tied up in schoolwork, so I couldn't do a review on it. But I'm gonna do a review on it now so I can get you people informed about it. Um, First of all, when I purchased the three Air Max shoes, I told you in previous videos that I bought three at one time. One being the Air Max 360 BB Low basketball shoe, the other being the Air Max Alpha. This was the third one I bought, and this one's probably my favorite out of the three because personally I like neutral colors because they go with more clothes. Uh, if you have a color shoe that happens to have like red or blue, it doesn't really go with much except for red and blue clothes. So neutral colors, so it goes with a lot. I've worn this shoe in basketball. I've worn it running. I've worn it in jeans. So I'm gonna just give a value assessment and also as far as what it does and basketball. I'm always going to link something to basketball, probably, unless it's just clearly not supposed to be worn, like if it's like loafers or something like that. But getting started with this shoe, I usually start from the bottom and work my way up, so we'll start with that. The same as all the other Air Max shoes, it has the traditional, what they call it, the lug pattern. And what it is it has these recessed areas. You can see where it's deeper in certain spots and then higher in other spots. And then on top of that, it has these fairly deep, they're square shaped, just grips on them. And they do a fairly good job. In fact, if I were to make a statement as far as how this shoe does on gripping, it's on a court, on a basketball court, if you're actually trying to play in it, it's actually fairly good considering it's not a basketball traction pattern. Um, in fact, I would say that this shoe has the best universal grip, and what I mean by that is this shoe grips the most on the largest area of surfaces, whether it be gravel, dirt, uh, tile, wood, the court. I mean, anything. It does fairly well on pretty much anything you put it on. So the traction pattern that's one reason why they haven't changed it in several years is because it works so well. Um, Moving on with the sole of it though, you can't really see through it. I can because I can see the computer monitor, but it has a black airbag, a 360 airbag, which runs full length. Um, it is, I would say, opaque. It looks black, but you can actually see through it if there's light on the other side. So I would say it's opaque or slightly transparent. Um, it does a great job of cushioning. In fact, this is one of the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn. I hadn't previously owned any Air Max shoes or any large volume Air Max shoes. I've owned like some like the Air Max 1 or the Air Max 90 that have the smaller volume bag in the heel and that's it. But this is the sole unit. This is a large volume Air Max unit, and it's a lot different. It has a lot less resistance. It presses down deeper than a smaller volume one. This one is a little bit looser, so it allows for more compression. So it's a softer ride than you would find in some other casual shoes. Another thing about this, same as the Alpha, it's listed as a casual shoe or in the sportswear category, but just like the Alpha, it is integrated with the Nike Plus technology. So if you chose to do so, you could make this your running shoe. And honestly, I said about the Alpha that it wouldn't be the wisest choice because it wasn't like as comfortable as some other shoes, and it wasn't as light as some other running shoes. But this shoe, because of the full 360 Air Max and as I'll get into in a minute, it's got a hyperfuse upper and a inner sleeve and the great traction pattern. I mean, you put it all together, there's really no reason why you couldn't use this as a running shoe, unless you just preferred people that like the smaller track shoes that weigh about 5 ounces. By the way, this is in a size 10, and it's approximately, I would say, 12 to 13 ounces. It's not really heavy for a full-length Air Max shoe. Most of you know that Air Max tends to be heavier than Zoom or Lunarlon, and it is, so that's not surprising. But on another note, though, as I said in the Alpha video, this shoe has a full-length Air Max unit versus the Alpha only had a 180, which stopped about right here. And the difference is, I told you that when you walked on the Alpha, it was fairly, I said that this one had a plusher ride. And see, the reason is, when you step back here, some of the air can move up to the front and allow the back to compress more than it did in the Alpha. Because the Alpha was smaller volume, it didn't allow for it to move the air system around as much. So this is also, even though it's the 180 Air Max bag is actually an identical bag to this back. It is simply the 360 Air. It is the back of the 360 Air Max bag is the 180 bag, but the 360 bags you'll find are softer because they can, when you step back here, the air moves down, and when you step in the toes, the air tends to move towards the back. So you have a little bit more. It's a little bit plusher than a 180 Air Max unit. When you move up above the main component of the midsole, there's also a lining of Cushlon that runs the length of the shoe as well. And the Cushlon also gives arch support. If you can see, this is the medial side, and the Cushlon is raised in your arch area. So there is arch support in the shoe, and if you can feel it, it is crafted. You know, it is ergonomically designed to the shape of the foot. So it is fairly arch support friendly. If we move to the upper, first of all, most shoes, as you know, at Nike, you know, they tend to say air. They tend to say the technologies used in them. And one technology that isn't mentioned on the shoe that is used is the hyperfuse upper, which I mentioned earlier that I was going to talk about. You can tell, I do believe, if you look through there, you can see on the other side, you can probably see my fingers through the mesh of the shoe. It is very breathable. Again, if you don't know what hyperfuse is, it's a 3-layer system that allows for breathability without sacrificing any structural support. What you have is you have an outside layer or a structural layer, which is this silver, the most silver appearing, because the whole shoe is essentially gray, but this is a little bit more metallic. The metallic silver that you see is the outside layer, and your mid layer is your mesh, which the darker areas, this is entirely mesh, and you can see between the silver and the mesh there is a little bit of another gray. And if you look between these darker spots, the darker spots are where you have mesh. You have mesh all the way across, but this is where there's no underlying structural support. What it is it's an overlaying structural support, an underlaying structural support, and then you have mesh in between them. And where the two don't overlap, that's where you have your breathability. So you have outer layer, inner layer, and where they don't overlap, you have breathability. The areas that are breathable, on the medial side, you have this stripe across the bottom, these two down here, and then the big toe area is entirely mesh. So this is the largest window on the shoe, I would say. On the lateral side, you have 3 stripes across the lateral toe area, and then you have 3 across about the arch area, or more than 3, 3 on the top and looks about 2 on the bottom. reflectiveness, if you plan to run in this at night, it always is important to be safe, especially if you run in rural areas where there might not be street lights. The only reflective aspect of the shoe is the swoosh. It does not. I believe also. No, this is metallic, but it's not reflective material. The difference is when this is crafted in a certain pattern that it refracts light back at you, even though it's not a mirrored material. When light hits it at an angle, it shines very bright. This is simply metallic, and that's why it looks reflective. This is metallic, not reflective. This is actually brighter if you would hold a flashlight to it. The tongue is also a metallic material, or not metallic material, but the design on it is metallic. As far as the upper goes, I would say it has the fit on it is a little off, but it's still very comfortable. It fits a lot better than the Alphas, because the Alphas had the very pointy toe. But other than that, the Alphas felt pretty good, except they had that really bunchy tongue. One thing I also don't like about this tongue, the only tongue out of the 3 Air Max shoes I got that was that impressed me was the basketball shoe, the 360 BB Lows, because it was a I believe a suede, and it actually provided some structural support. Of course, you don't want that in a running shoe. You want something comfortable. The thing I don't like about this one, if you can tell, the tongue goes from like here to here. It's not very wide, and when it feels funny. I wish they would extend it down a little bit to where it kind of cups the front of your ankle. That way, it wouldn't feel like it's just a little strip sitting on top of your ankle. That sort of feels funny. That's probably one of my few complaints about the shoe. I don't have many. Let me untie this real quick while I'm going on. There's a design on the tongue. It's really irrelevant as far as performance or anything like that. I want to show it to you so that you can see it. It simply has this metallic design that goes around, and on this side it goes across, and then you have a few black stripes that follow it. They aren't coming from the side, because if I turn this over here, you can see the pattern stops. The tongue material, it feels like a polyester, if you know what that is. It's like it feels like a padded athletic material. The inside collar is it overlaps to the top. If you see this, the collar actually overlaps on the outside, and that's kind of odd. And it goes up here, which it hasn't happened yet, but I know it's going to. When I wear this a lot, this padding is going to fray, and it's going to look fuzzy sort of after I put some wear on it. This little padding right here, if you can see it, I know it's the same color as the laces, but that's going to fray a little bit, and it's not going to look so hot. But that just comes with wearing the shoe. But I'm just letting you know ahead of time that you can expect that. It doesn't really have any heel cup feature. It is, if you can see, it is roundly shaped, and it has these 2 little pods it feels like they stuck a little a thin strip of synthetic on either side on it. I guess just because. The heel lockdown, it's okay, because they don't really put anything in here that would hold it in. So it does, of course, it slides back a little bit. So I mean, you do have some heel shaping so that your heel slides in and gets kind of sucked down into the shoe a little bit. But other than that, the tongue is not going to do anything for you. It's flimsy and really thin, and this is a low cut, so don't do anything too crazy in it. It probably wouldn't be safe. Again, the tongue is an inner sleeve, even though it's very thin. It upwards to about, let me see where this connects so I can tell you. Oh, actually, it's way back here. That's good. The tongue actually curves back like this in this area. Starts here and it curves back. So your inner sleeve is completely full length. In fact, I'll just show it to you. If you can see, like, what is black on the inside is the inner sleeve. So you can see where the white ends. or you can see where the white ends and where the black begins. That's where your inner sleeve starts. So it is fairly far back. It isn't like a mid inner sleeve. It is a full length one. So that's a pretty good feature. You know, sometimes when they're partial length, they have an odd feel to them. And sometimes when you slide your feet in, you can kind of bunch them up. But when they're like this, they're at their best. Anyways, the lacing system, it's fairly traditional. Nothing special. It looks like they tried to play a little bit off of the new Hyperfuse with the. You can see it's kind of zigzagging a little bit, just a little bit. The laces aren't, but the synthetic holding the laces is. So since the laces are actually not mismatched with the design, I don't think you'll have any kind of enhanced lockdown from that. And in fact, it's an okay fitting shoe, like I said. It doesn't have any kind of enhanced lockdown feel or anything like that. It's actually a sportswear shoe, so it's fairly casual. But it's great. It's very comfortable. It grips on a multitude of surfaces. And it's I picked it up on Finish Line. It was marked down $60 off. So, and that was a couple months ago. If they still have them on there, I'm assuming they'd be pretty low. So not a bad deal. If you can always check on a few different sites, you can find a good deal between Nike, Eastbay, Finish Line. You look around those sites, you can find a pretty good deal. You know, when stock gets low or a specific colorway isn't selling, that price will go down for that specific model. But anyways, that's my review on this shoe. If I were to give it stats, grip, overall, I would give it a 9 because it just works so well on so many surfaces. Wood, as far as like a traditional wooden floor, a court, it does great on that. Gravel, dirt, anything, it does excellent. The cushioning, it's a 10 because it's very bouncy, but it's plush at the same time. It's very soft. It's not overly squishy to where it feels like you're walking on pillows, but it's not overly firm. It's very nice. The fit, about a 7.5 and 8, and that's being very critical, because I'm not saying when I say 7.5, you're like, wow, that's a 75 out of 100 if it were a grade, but I'm comparing this to as if the shoe fit like a sock. And not many shoes would get an actual 10. I mean, I don't have a shoe that I would give a 10 on fit. I don't own a shoe that would have a 10 on fit. So this is, being a 7.5 is not a bad grade. So don't be discouraged by that. I'm just saying it doesn't have that perfect foot feel. Everyone asks me, does it run wide? For some reason my camera's in widescreen, so I'm gonna have to just switch this back and forth. In fact, this shoe is very, I would say, average. This is a very normal fitting shoe. If anything, it's a slightly wide shoe, if anything. But if it is, it's a very minuscule noticeability. It's not very wide. So it's a good pickup, especially for the price I got it for. And I hope you enjoyed this review. I mean, if you got any suggestions or anything you would like to get reviewed, I might come into some financial assistance, and I might be able to pick up a few new ones and do a review on it for you. But do make sure that it is current. I wouldn't like to do a review on any old shoes, although I'm thinking about doing one for an old basketball shoe I have, just to put it out there. But pretty good shoe, looks nice, feels good, and that's my review on it. Thanks for watching though, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Alright, have a good one.